Okay, all right. So this is the sixth book in the City Watch sub-series of the Discworld series, and it's called Night Watch, right? And yeah, it's probably the strongest, or it's the strongest book since Guards in this sub-series and in the series so far, because it's all I've read. Is the City Watch, and I think it might be better. I think, yeah, it might be better. The difference is Guards is a great introduction, and you have the novelty. I have to reread it to see which one's better, because I'm still, the novelty of it and of the series and of Discworld and of Terry Pratchett's humor kind of elevates it in my mind. This, without the novelty of all of that, still is a solid story that's funny and has great themes and all this, right? So it's a great, like, it is a great book. It is a great book, just right off the bat, and I love that. We hit a dry spell there in books 3 and 4. Yeah, and that was rough. But once we got to 5 and 6, it starts to climb again, which is so good. I was afraid that I was going to just read this ever dropping series from Guards, but there are ups and downs, and I'm liking that. Obviously, the ups a bit better than the downs. But we have a time travel story, mainly focusing on Sam Vimes. Vimes being obviously the best character in the series. And he's always lamenting the fact, in the other books, he's always lamenting the fact that he's no longer a. Why do I even have this on? Like, I'm not listening to anything. Anyways, he's always lamenting the fact that, he can no longer be a watchman, just a regular watchman, just chasing perps down and standing in the rain in the dark, that kind of thing. Just being himself, what he loves. Usually he's all like, decked out in a very highfalutin outfit of some kind with tassels and such. And he doesn't like rubbing shoulders and elbows with the higher class individuals. They seem snooty and fake to him. And he just, wishes he was off doing police work. If something comes up, he rushes to do that. So you always get that in these last couple books. And when he does step in, he always is just, still a good copper. Still a really solid copper. Anyways, he goes back in time to Ankh-Morpork when he himself was just starting with the Watch. And the Watch at that point was, like, corrupt, and the leadership of Ankh-Morpork was, like, cruel, and people were being, like, taken away to torturers, basically, for, like, breaking curfew, or even, like, mentioning, like, man, this leader kind of doesn't have his head screwed on right, They'll go on and they'll unscrew your head somewhere in a dungeon. So his younger self is starting out. Him, however, is just thrust into the world as Sam Vimes older, where no one knows who he is, and he actually takes over the place of his old mentor, John Keel. And so there's a great mix there where he comes to the Watch to fix it, to really kick it in the nads, to make it better. And he also is training his younger self to be him, basically, in the future, to not be corrupt, to hold certain rights ineffable for being a copper, really. Which is great. It's such a... Time travel is such a wish fulfillment kind of story to do, right? But typically, if time travel stories can be a bit boring because I don't have a wish to be fulfilled in whatever story this is just a gimmick. However, this is used in this book well because it has been set up many times, right? In the past books, like I said, that what if he could just, like, be a copper again. So you get that wish fulfillment for him and for the reader. So he's also, and it's stated, he's getting his wish fulfilled for a bit as well. But you're also seeing all the lessons learned, all of the skills that we've seen him get and hone over these past, like, 5 books. he now uses that to the full effect, and the authority that he's gained and the comfortability with command that he's gained and the wisdom, all of that he gets just to blast onto this new old world, and they aren't ready for it. They are amazed by it, and they don't know he's an enigma, and they are just flabbergasted by his methods, and it's great seeing them being used like this. It's utter wish fulfillment, and we have it with the best character, and it's truly great. It's just truly a very fun read. It's funny. There are themes in this of revolution, right? Like that's a big plot point. But the themes of it is like, what's a proper revolution? Like we have a few tries, right? Where Red Shoe, which is the zombie that we've been introduced in the last 2 books. He's a zombie on the watch. Well, he was now an alive guy, kind of young kid, 19, 20-year-old kid who's just idealistic, and he's like very much workers' revolts, not steal. It's get that the means seize the means of production, right? That kind of, so just communist words and thoughts being just thrown into this, and it meeting with the best way possible, just meeting the real world, like where the metal hits the meat kind of scenario, where the people who are in this revolution, they don't see it really as a revolution. They just see it as a, hey, we're just regular people just trying to keep the streets safe. And we see that things are going downhill. There's riots. There's things that's unsafe for our businesses, our children, our elderly, our people, right? So let's make some blockades like Les Mis, right? Blockades around so we can at least just protect ourselves and keep this ring, keep it safe. And then he's bringing in this whole like, seize the means of production, do all this, do all that, and they're just like, chill out. Like, I get what you're saying, but like I don't want that. Like, I'm a regular person. You're idealizing the working class people as this, that, and the other, or will want this, that, and the other. And I'm a working class person. I don't want that. I just want, stability. And seeing this just idealistic young communist meeting that reality and just being like crestfallen and realizing just how foolish he is and how untenable his ideas are in just the real world when the words leave the page and meet reality. That, I love that. That is just great, especially with real world stuff. This is so prophetic, right? And it's not only prophetic, it was written in like the 80s or 90s or something. So a lot of this has already happened with all those communist real world dictatorships that have come up and fallen, right? Not only is it a reflection of that, but the people of today now who are parroting these same talking points, it is also rebuking future people like them who are doing the same thing, and I love that. It's got other themes in it, and every one of them are used great, and it's obviously crapping on fascists with the Gestapo, secret police, and their totalitarian ideals, and all this other stuff, and bad policing, right? Where you're told as a policeman to, they're building up barricades and they're like throwing stuff at you. Let's meet it with blades, with force. Let's do this, and it's like, no, let's not do that. Let's do other things in a lot of other ways. And it's a great read for that. But what's also great with it is the story itself is so strong. The plot is strong. The time travel. He's going back in time. He's not only doing that. There's also a villain who has killed. He's a cop killer, who is a psychopath named Carcer, who is also traveled back in time, and he's like the Joker Batman, so he's the flip to Batman, who are Vimes, and he is now in this world, and he is the villain in this world, and it's also great that we have all of this going on while also having a solid villain, a dangerous villain, not a villain that we're like,
who runs in the shadows and is dangerous because he's in the shadows. But once the light is blasted on him, like all the other books, and the light is blasted on him, he now becomes, vulnerable and defeatable, and it quickly happens after that. This is different. We get introduced to him in this book, like immediately, and he's immediately a threat, not easily beaten because of his psychopathy. And in the book, he is in the open a villain, and he is very, very hard to keep down, right? Which it's a different kind of villain in this book. Other than, let's say, even like in the Fifth Elephant, we had the werewolf who is obviously in the open and a killer and hard to keep down, but that's because he's like a mystical beast. This is just a man. Same with in Guards the dragon, right? Hard to keep down because it's a monster. It's a dragon. This, he's a man. He's a man hard to keep down because of human traits that he has. So that's a different way that he is. A different way that he is hard to keep down, hard to beat, hard to defeat, and that makes it even more interesting, I'd say. But he's also thrown in this mix. So the plot itself, like I was saying, is incredibly strong, and the incredibly strong themes and ideas and the messages that Terry Pratchett tries to bring forth and does and succeeds don't supersede the story, the plot, which that was my main problem with a few of the earlier books. And now we have a combination of incredibly strong story and incredibly strong themes and incredibly strong characters as well. New characters like Corsair, but old characters like Colin and Nobby when they're younger, and Vimes when he's younger, and now being again thrust into his old world, where he's forced to contend with his past self and past problems and all this, right? Those strong characters, all of this is now working together into a great book, which sadly it would be a great reread, many time rereads, right? Like I could definitely, like, years down the line, I need some kind of short read between two heavy books, or even just two regular books that I need some kind of break between, and this is a perfect book to just throw into the mix there. Not for people who haven't read any of the books up to it, like you need the previous readings to get to, but this is a book that it takes some time to get to with the previous books. However, when you get to it, it's now like a new key that you can unlock, a new tool in your belt for future reads down the line, which that was such a joy to find. So yeah, everything just works. It's a funny book. It's such a meaningful book. It's just a solid book. A great book. I really, really, really enjoy it. It's great satire. It's great, just fiction. It's great all this, right? So I honestly would put it at I put it originally as a 9, right? But I'm now bumping it to a 9.2 because I feel it deserves that 0.2. Nothing. It's not perfect. Nothing's perfect, right? Not every joke lands, and some books take, or not every story beat can be perfect, right? But every story beat is good, at least, to great. Every joke is good to great. So that good to great, like, average brings it to 9.2. Like, nothing, there can be nothing in a book that is a 9 or higher. It can never be oh, that didn't land, or, oof. Can we just move past this point? No, the pacing is great. Everything is just great. But nothing being perfect, it has to fall in that 9 range somewhere. And I think it's around that 9.2 range. It feels right. Once you're in there, it is more of a feeling. But yeah, 9.2, great book. And I'm incredibly happy it is now in my library, let's say, that I can reach back and grab if I want to. Yeah, so next book, here we come.